Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. Our guest today is Shawn Day, all things holidays, smart business moves. Shawn, how in the heck are you?
Good, good, good. Nice to see you two again.
You too, Shawn.
Been a
Always
while.
glad to have you here.
It's been a while. I always think of you two as we come up in November, coming up on ISSA stuff.
Well, we will definitely be there.
Right around the corner. Yeah. We got trick or treat coming up. We've got Thanksgiving, all things holiday. Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, all things
Lump it
holiday.
all in.
Yeah.
Lump it all in.
Excellent.
I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving, and you know what? You brought up ISSA, and I am really happy that this year they didn't overrun one of the holidays. Like when they did it over Halloween.
Always,
That was terrible.
It was.
We had to be there, and people were so upset. And this year it ends. It's the week before Thanksgiving, right? Is that right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Somewhere around the 17th-ish, somewhere in there, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the 15th through. Is it the 15th through the 18th? November 15th through 18th?
That sounds right.
Yes, I believe so. You know, a lot of people are traveling on that Sunday, the 14th, and it wraps up Thursday, the 18th.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it ends kind of early on Thursday, the 18th. So people usually are heading out by the 19th. So it's an easy trip. Are you looking forward to anything specific this year, Shawn?
Now, you said easy trip. So Dan Plata, my good friend, tries to book all this stuff on his travel credit card points, which basically means Shawn will have 4 layovers for 5 hours each, starved to death because it'll be at midnight and everything's closed. There's no easy travel for me. There's just no such thing as easy travel. But yeah, I'll be there. I think I don't know if I think we have our flight now planned out, and I think there's only one layover, and it's only for like an hour and a half. So I think we're good to go.
Wow.
My customer service manager Denise will be there too, so that'll be good.
You're home based out of Cleveland, right, Shawn?
Cleveland, Ohio, absolutely, yeah.
So he's got you going from like Cleveland to Atlanta to Miami to Dallas, and you're getting miles for all of that, right?
Of course, I am getting miles for him. Of course, I am. Yeah, I had a 4-hour layover in Denver the last time I flew to Vegas, which was just a couple months ago. So that's a half a day of sitting in an airport, and it's one of those where you don't want to leave necessarily. I was trying to hook up with a friend that I have there, and we couldn't connect, and it was just like I'm always scared to leave the airport, no matter what the layover is,
Yeah.
And just the cost, the hassle of going through security again.
Exactly. Yep. And now, it's all these years we've been going to the shows as not as vendors. And now that we're doing this vendoring thing because of our recruiting services and bookkeeping services, we're now traveling, trying to figure all that out, which we're not good at vendoring yet. We'll sit there and people come up to the booth and, we'll have to get dinner or a beer later or this or that. And they walk away, and Dan and I look at each other and go, oh man, I think we were supposed to sell something. Forgot about that part. I think we should have got an email or a phone number or something, right? Is that right?
But you're there, and that's an important first step. You're making progress.
And
I'm super glad that
all over the place too. Now, we've got this beautiful new booth and all this. It's crazy. We have a blast though.
Well, I'm really glad that you brought this up, because I have had Dan on my list of people to contact to do a presentation for my strategic success groups for a couple of months, and I haven't done it yet. Can you reach out to him for me?
Absolutely. He'd love to do that.
I've been meaning to get him into group to tell everybody about the bookkeeping services, right?
Yeah.
So
that part of the business is just growing like crazy. He's got hundreds and hundreds of clients now. And I think they've got Dan and that team in the bookkeeping probably has 20 bookkeepers. That's how much business he's bringing in.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Phenomenal.
Well, are you telling me that he's too busy for me? That I should
No,
find somebody
no,
else?
that's he's got all these bookkeepers he hires to do the bookkeeping along with him, of course. You know, he's the head man there, but he loves to get on the social media stuff. He's on a radio show now. He's got a radio show for something with landscaping now. Lawn care. So he's got a lot of lawn care clients, and he's on this radio show, and it's literally specifically for lawn care, landscape type of people. So yeah, he loves the social media thing. He loves going to the shows, all that stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And you know, the whole service of like bookkeeping, you don't have many business owners out there that are saying, no, that's my favorite part. That's the part that I want to do.
Yeah. I remember my books when I had my cleaning company in Cleveland, and it was so pitifully bad. I could not. It was so bad. It was a mess. You know, my numbers were everywhere. It was a mess, but it got to a point eventually where I would I was lying to myself and going, this must be part of this. So I'm just going to throw it there no matter. And I know damn well it wasn't supposed to go there, but I didn't care. I just didn't want it. And then I finally got a good bookkeeper, and it just changed everything for me, everything. And Dan's got it. You know, I had a bookkeeper back then that wasn't specifically for our industry of the cleaning industry, where Dan is and owns and has operated cleaning companies. So he just and he's a guy that comes from Cargill, which is one of the largest privately owned companies in America, traveled the world for whatever financial stuff he was doing for Cargill, and brought it to the blue collar world. And it's, he's a blue collar guy with a white collar mind, I guess is a good way to put it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So, but also there's not a heck of a lot of people that are running around having a blast recruiting in the last year and a half or two. I know that.
Yeah. Boy, that's an understatement there, Shawn.
Yeah.
Are you seeing any changes, anything that, I mean, people I'm talking to, things are loosening up a little bit. It's getting a little bit easier now. Is that the common thread?
We're seeing it loosen up a little bit. I would say that there's a lot of economic factors that are going into it too. I've done a lot of looking up in that regard. So there's a lot of mixing and matching and craziness going on. With the spike sort of in COVID over the last couple of months, that's still a main factor. There was something I read where there are more people taking care of COVID sick people than there has been during this entire pandemic. Since the spike, like in, what was it, July or something like that. End of July, maybe somewhere in there. So that is causing some unemployment issues. We still have the $500 or what is it, $250 tax credit going on. So people with 3 or 4 kids, are getting $1,000 still a month put in their bank account. That's still going to go until the end of December. So although it's loosening up, there's still some things, there's 10 million available jobs out there. I mean, that's a lot of jobs still.
Yeah.
But there, it has definitely loosened up, though, to your point, Liz. We're seeing more application flow, but we're not out of the woods yet. I would say that there's a, if for some reason these child tax credits get extended, I don't think they will, but in some case, if that happens, that can be a problem. And inflation's really, really got me a little bit nervous. We're at like a 5.4% inflation rate for this year. That's high compared to what we've been since I can remember. That's really, really high.
Yeah.
And inflation, varies. The amount of inflation varies, across, commodities and various things.
Yeah.
Wages, especially on the hourly higher side, seems to be especially hit hard with that. Are you seeing wages going up?
We've at Blue Skies, I know our entire staff has gotten raises. Everybody. That's a conversation I have with a lot of our clients that we recruit for. I'll go in and I'll do some homework and research on labor market stuff. Wages is one of them. If you haven't raised your wages, or if you've raised them less than 10%, that's like not raising them at all. But, take a look at gas prices right now. Gas prices are doubled, in a very short amount of time, literally doubled. There's going to be more travel with Thanksgiving right around the corner. So that 10% raise, that's not a raise, because the cost of living with inflationary pressures, that hasn't given anybody more spending. They're just keeping up, and that's just fuel. The other thing that's been that I think has really hurt recruiting is that the savings, the cash balances of Americans is up drastically because of a lot of the free money from the government, these tax credits that are coming in, and there's still people that are able to get cash jobs. So we still can make cash, right? Collect unemployment, get child tax credits. We're coming up against tax season again. Don't forget, in the beginning of this year, you could, as a blue collar, what used to be maybe a $10 or $12 an hour job, you had an $8,000 tax refund. At the same time, there was about whatever it was, $1,000 a month coming in from unemployment, or more than that. And then, that's a pretty hefty bank account for somebody making $12-13 an hour.
And, a number of people were in situations where they weren't having to pay rent for a period of time.
Yeah. And there's just an enormous amount of money that our typical labor force just never had, and they have it in cash balances, whether it's a savings, a checking, or whatever it is. And then you couple that with daycares closed down, and I always said, I'm contrary to this belief that all these lazy people eating corn puffs and Doritos and all kinds of cheese puffs on the couch.
Cheese puffs.
Cheese puffs. All these things, that's not true. There's absolutely beautiful employees and beautiful workers that have worked really hard most of their lives, if not all their lives. And they've got kids that don't have daycares to go to. If my daughter came up to me and said, "Dad, with the stuff I'm getting from the government, the unemployment, I haven't spent a lot of time with the kids because I've been working with ABC house cleaning 8 hours a day, and sometimes more because we're so short-staffed. I haven't seen my kids hardly." I wouldn't begrudge my daughter, who's worked really hard all her life at 28 years old, to maybe sit on the sideline for a couple months and spend some time with her kids over the summer.
Sure.
Well, you're not the only one. A lot of people with that exact mindset, right?
Absolutely. That's what I honestly think. I honestly believe that I think January is going to be one of the best recruiting months for our industries than we've seen in quite a while. I really do. I think the child tax credit stuff's going to end in December. So that extra, I'm getting $500 a month in my bank account for having 2 children. Okay. That ends in December. If you have 4 kids, $1,000 a month going away. Okay. And then some bills coming in with Christmas, because we never spend just, the $1,000. We still are going to spend more than we have, because that's what we do in this country. And then, you're going to start to see that money go away. People are going to have to go look for jobs. We are getting people in a habit of spending more money than what they have, because it's free money. That free money is going to dry up, I believe, at the end of this year. And some people are going to have to start to get back to work. That's my feeling. I can't predict that necessarily, but that's my feeling on it.
Well, you should just go ahead, go on the record as predicting that.
And
then if it doesn't happen, if you're right, we're gonna be like, wow, Shawn Day, he's like Nostradamus. And if you're wrong, oh well, people are always wrong, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time I'm wrong. So I'll go on the record. Absolutely. I didn't say what year in January, did I?
No.
Good point, though, Shawn. Good point. I think what's happening here in Washington is I know a lot of people here, things have loosened up because of the vaccination requirement. So a lot of people have left jobs. So now they're going into these lower wage jobs, and they're not as low wage as they used to be, right? So
Yeah.
it used to be you couldn't really afford to have one of these jobs if you were coming from, the medical field or something. We're seeing a lot of people applying from the medical field right now, LPNs,
Yep.
RNs even. So.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of burned out people too in the healthcare industry that have just gone through some just crazy hours through this pandemic and continue to. So your medical assistants, even there's just so many different positions in the healthcare industry that we're starting to see that too. One of the other things too is that there's been so much talk about the $15 minimum wage for years now, but it's really been shouted out loud the last couple of years. I'm convinced that most employees in the blue collar realm that we live in think that most every state is $15 an hour minimum wage right now. I bet if you took a survey, I would bet more than we think it's $15 minimum wage right now, and a lot of cities are. Not a lot of states are, but a lot of cities are. I know Minneapolis, Minnesota, for example, their minimum wage is, I think, $15 an hour, and most states are headed that way. So when we do job descriptions and we're putting in wages for clients, I always, if you're starting at $14 an hour or $13 an hour, which some states you can do that. I mean, I suppose, but I tell them if you're not at 15 or more, everybody thinks $15 is the minimum wage or soon to be. So when you're doing $13 an hour, it's insulting to them. I mean, you're going to lose a lot of people out of that circle.
Based on the work that you're doing, I know that you do recruiting for a whole bunch of different companies. Are you seeing anybody having any success if they aren't offering a starting wage of at least 15 an hour?
Absolutely. Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
So that's the minimum wage. I mean, whatever the federal law is really is irrelevant. Practically, you have to start at least 15, if not more.
Yeah. And there's companies out there that do the pay performance, the commission, whatever you want to call it, percentage pay, whatever you want to call it. It's all pretty much the same. That has a minimum wage as sort of that floor. And that's fine, but I'm not one to advocate, advertising that it's minimum wage, minimum floor. I like to go with what's your weekly average pay for somebody that's an A employee that might be with you for a couple of years. We can mix in there a starting pay if you've got a starting hourly pay. If somebody's paying $25 an hour, but they only have 15 hours of a week of work, I want to know what the weekly pay is. That's where, that's what I think is more important. I don't think I try to stay away from hourly. Why go with the smaller number if you're putting a job description together? Go with a weekly number, go with a monthly number, something like that.
That's interesting. And I guess, there's some people out there, though, that the amount of money that they're bringing home per week maybe isn't that as important to them. They aren't really interested in working a bunch of hours. And, I have seen situations where the hourly rate can be important because that's kind of what they talk to their friends about. I'm making $22 an hour, and they don't really talk about, well, I'm only getting 6 hours a week. It really doesn't matter. It's more bragging rights, if nothing else.
And I know both of you know this too, is any type of survey I've read, the pay is just part of a huge pie that these people we call employees want when they wake up every morning to come into work. Everybody needs that paycheck, but there's so much that we talk about that. I've been talking a lot about mindset and perceptions the last year to a lot of small business owners around the country. And I'm actually putting together, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. It's going to be basically like an advanced interview, something or another about interviewing. There's not a week that goes by for the last couple of years. Literally, I haven't had business owners ask me about interview stuff. So it's been something I've had on the shelf, and it's coming down off the shelf finally. And we were able to hire about 20 cleaning technicians in our Minneapolis, Minnesota office in 2.5 months. back in like March and April. And
Nice.
we did that because of a mindset. That was at a time where everybody was complaining it was tough to get workers, right?
Yeah.
And Minneapolis, Minnesota is not an easy place to recruit. It just isn't. I've recruited there for a couple of years now. It's not an easy place to recruit, but our mindset was completely different on how we did things. And I'm going to talk an awful lot about that. And come out with a couple, I don't know if it's going to be like a little live thing or a couple short videos. I do know it'll be free, and I do know I'm not going to be selling up into anything, so it's going to be absolutely free, but it's really going to be cool. I'm having a good time with it.
Yay, that sounds exciting. It sounds like it's going to be fun. A lot of people are going to love that. Good timing. Really good timing.
I hope so. And Liz, you're one of the best there is with culture. And culture is just everything. And it's sort of like when I look at culture with businesses, because I do, when we sign somebody up, I do research in their labor market. I look at their website. I want to know what their culture is all about. What do they do around the holidays for employees? Things like that. I mean, but most of the culture I see has a lot to do with, we're going to give the best customer this, customer that, customer this, customer this, our quality this, right? We're going to do the best we can for every single customers are going to love us. There's nothing with culture to me is more about your employees and what they have to come to work and do and face and what their needs and wants are. It's amazing to me the boat that's missed with culture. And I'm sure you can speak to that even more in volumes than I can. But to me, that's part of what I'm going to be talking about in the interview stuff.
I do think that we're seeing a big shift that I would say in the last 6 months, people are really, really, really recognizing that the employees have to be your first concern. It's always been a little chicken or egg, right? Like employees are clients, But I think that people are now recognizing that they struggled through not having employees, and they're like, okay, I don't want to fight that fight again. Like, I know how to fight that I can't get enough customers. I know how to do that fight. That employee fight, that's too hard. It's bloody.
You're right.
I want to make that one work.
I'll sum exactly what you're talking about with pain points. And here's my view on it. You've got several hundred or a few hundred clients as a cleaning owner. You've got 10 or 11 employees. Something like that. Think of your life if you lose 2 or 3 of those clients. You're still sleeping fine at night. You're not canceling your dinner reservations Friday. Think of the 3 or 4 employees you lose in one day. You're looking at the ceiling going, I don't even want to get up and call anybody tomorrow. I don't even want to show up tomorrow. Your wife and you were fighting. Your husband and you were fighting. You're nasty to your kids. Your life changes. Your life changes when you lose 3 or 4 employees. When I lose 3 or 4 clients, I hate it, don't like it, but I'm not losing sleep.
Yeah, your typical maid service client, if you will, I don't know, maybe $3,000 a year in revenue, where a technician in today's world is probably going to be knocking down 70 or more. Yeah. So from a dollar and cent standpoint, there's no comparison.
Yeah. Why is it then that some business owners just don't think through that? I don't know why. I think maybe we're just so marketing, sales, and revenue generated type of mindset. I don't know.
I think it's habit. It's just the way it's always been. I really like what Rohan is saying right here about, that entrepreneurship is the new culture, and that people are right now much more thinking about, why should I work for you? I can do it myself. And also the mindset of wanting to work less. So it's always been the entrepreneurial mindset of, I'm going to put in all my time. I'm going to work really hard right now, and I'm going to build this business so that I can work less. I mean, not for Tom, right. But for most people, right? That's part of the entrepreneurial mindset is, I want to put in this time and so that I can work less. Right. But now we're seeing that with employees too. Yeah. I want to work less. I want to make more money for less time. it's not that they want to make, $15 an hour. They want to make whatever it's going to take to be able to work less. 40 hours a week is not normal for this new mindset. That feels like too much work, that it's not reasonable. That's like old school when
Right.
so
I think
And as an employer, the old mindset was, well, we're working 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And if you don't want to do that, you go get a job somewhere else. That
Yeah.
doesn't work in today's world anymore.
No.
We have to be more accommodating to the wishes of the labor force, or we're not going to have anybody working for us at all.
It's all fundamental to me. The economy drives certain behaviors. Okay. Different generations, because of the way the world is, has different expectations. The world with pandemics has different things that just force us to do certain things. One of the biggest changes, and what we all realize this, is working remotely. That the things we're doing now with Zoom and interviews and Zoom, the things we're doing today is all because of the way that the world changed, right? That this stuff with telehealth wasn't going to be around for another 7 or 8 or 9 years, but because of the pandemic, we had to adjust to this world, and that's why everybody knows the word Zoom in a matter of a year and a half. Everybody in this country knows what that word means and what it is. And so there's certain fundamental things I don't think are going to ever change, and those are things like matching capacity and demand. I mean, that will never change. You've got to match capacity and demand to the best of your ability, because that's where you make money in our businesses. Okay, that's when you make the most money, when you have the perfect amount of cleaners for the perfect amount of cleaning customers. And that just is a beautiful world when that happens, right? So it will change again it could be 2023 or 24. Inflation's coming around. The bond markets in Germany, not to bore everybody to death, are in positive territory for the first time in years. So not just the United States, but other parts of the world are seeing inflationary pressures. Economies are going to change in the next couple of years, and there's going to be a time where there's going to be that these employees that have us by the tail right now, because there are thousands of jobs that you can go fetch and sit there and go, I can get a job tomorrow. What are you paying? What are you doing? What's your benefits? Sooner or later, there's going to be one job for 100 employees. And those people are going to have to come down to our reality at that time. Of course, we'll be begging for customers then.
Yeah, we'll be scrambling for work. Right.
It's always the way.
Yeah, the fundamentals of capacity and demand are just never, in my view, going to change. That's business. We have to do technologies change, generational things change, pandemics make us change. But fundamentally, I think there's still things that you have to adhere to.
Yeah, I like what Aja is saying here too. This feeling of I control my own schedule. We talk a lot about, we have talked over the years about matter, meaning, measure, and we always talked about accountability. And when the pandemic hit, I switched that of accountability to autonomy, because that has just become such a big thing in these times. People want autonomy. They want to be able to run their own lives in their own way, and in a way that they think is fair and respectful and fair. Fair is the big thing right now, right?
Yeah, and I think we can all do that. We have. A lot of us have. And the answer is, everybody's scratching their head. All you got to do is raise your prices, and everything takes care of itself, right? If you want to work less, I'll pay you the same weekly rate if I can charge my customers more. And I don't know can anybody find a company in America today that is lowering their prices for any reason? I can't.
Oh, That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that at all, Shawn. But I really like that. I'm curious if anybody is lowering their prices because
I don't know if
everybody's raising prices.
Yeah, we all expect it. It's as expected as Zoom calls are, and Zoom interviews are, and working remote is. Raising prices right now is the norm. There,
Yeah.
you know, like every now and again, I see the Facebook posting of what kind of letter should I? You just raise it because everything is going up in price. Gas
Yeah.
prices are through the roof, right? And they're going to, you know. The president of the United States the other day was asked about it, and he said that he doesn't see it changing until maybe we get into 2022. So when we have a president, I don't care on what side of the aisle, says that, okay, guess what's going to happen? Chances are we're not going to see gas prices come down. When that happens, you got to raise your prices. That's why we ordered couches 7 months ago, and they still haven't gotten here yet. Supply issues.
They're in a container somewhere off the coast of California.
Right. No.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about. We're talking about the containers right off the coast there, and that's going to impact the holidays. But how do you see recruiting being affected through the holidays, Shawn? Do you see anything going on here?
Regardless, from my experience, regardless of the economy and the labor market, you'll find that the week before and the week after a major holiday, application flow kind of goes away. Most people are thinking about Thanksgiving dinners and going. I think isn't Thanksgiving the number one travel time of the year, basically.
Yeah.
That's because we're going to see our friends, our family, and we're not looking for jobs at that time. Nobody really is. There's more competition with retail that's coming up. Tom had made that point a little earlier when we were chatting about some things. It gets really, really aggressive retail wise because people are trying to make a little bit more money. So the labor market tightens up. There's less applications out there. There's going to be an open window for about a week or two after Thanksgiving, maybe 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, maybe a week after Thanksgiving, where there's going to be some retail job market activity, people trying to make extra money. Retail stores are going to want to pay more, right? You really should protect your employees at that time because retail stores, Walmart paying, reimbursing tuition for their employees. Walmart that got beat up by unions for paying minimum wage is paying $15, $16, $17 an hour today. Yeah. Okay, so what are they going to pay when they really need somebody around Christmas time, around the holiday? They're going to be stealing our employees if you're not taking care of your employees. So you got to plan for that. You should have that conversation with your employees.
So what does that conversation sound like, Shawn? That's great.
Exactly
great advice.
What I just said. Exactly what I just said. This is typically what happens. We're going to, whatever you need to do, whether that's bonuses, whether that's a little bit more pay. How about if we give everybody $1 raise for the month of December, and then we're going back to January, back down to what we need to go down to.
And the other part of that is those are temporary jobs. And,
Yeah.
I learned something. I went to a workshop last week. It was in Canada, and I met a lady who has a software product that she developed software that's kind of on the back end of Indeed. It's not consumer facing, but she sees a lot of data and works with them on that.
Yeah.
January 8th is the biggest day of the entire year in terms of people looking for a job.
Yep. January
January
best
8th.
month. Yep, January is the best month to recruit. We signed up more customers in January of last year because we spent all of November and December harping on that exact same point.
So, there's going to be a lot of people looking for work in January 8th in particular. If you need people, be out there and recruiting because there's a lot of people looking.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
Make sure your ad is live on the 8th.
Yeah, and make sure your incumbent workforce in December knows that you're going to be recruiting heavily for open positions. If they give up their job now to go work for Walmart, their job might not be there in January.
That's right. And the other thing too, when we hired those 20 technicians in our Minneapolis office, we started recruiting hard in January to hire those people in March and April. we were engaging and talking and getting people to come in for, if you go after it at the beginning of January, you figure you'll have interviews set up 2 weeks after that. So you're mid to end January doing some interviews, get them started mid-February. That's about the time frame of it. If you think about it, it takes a month to get somebody hired, really, and then you got to train them. So the thing about it is, if you wait until after January, you've got two things that have happened. Number one, your competition is going after it in January, so that you're going to lose it to your competition. But number two, what do we look for? Smart A employees to come to work for us. Smart A employees are looking for jobs in January, even the ones that are seasonal, your exterior cleaning businesses, lawn care, window cleaning, so forth. Those people are looking for jobs in the springtime in January and in February. They're smart. They're not going to wait till the last minute.
Right.
Yeah. All right. And we do know that everybody is looking for jobs on January 8th, which this year is a Saturday, y'all. So gotta be ready. Gotta be ready. All right.
It really works out. Get your ads out there, Thursday or Friday, and you'll go right through the weekend.
And you'll be ready.
Come in Monday, and you'll have more leads than you know what to do with.
I think so.
Well,
I think so.
I really like what you said earlier too, Shawn, about just be trying to think outside the box right now, understanding that it is different times right now. How things are working is going to be different. We don't really know what the seasonal jobs are going to be. We don't know what they're going to be offering. I know everybody here is charging $16 an hour to work at fast food. So if that's what you can get at fast food, what's Target going to have to offer? What's Walmart going to have to offer? So maybe there is a way for us to come up with something that's very temporary that we decide is going to be through December or whatever, and maybe kick it past January 8th. maybe a little bit longer than that.
Yeah. I think that's fine to do. I think you really need to do something for your employees in December anyway, because it's holidays, it's all that good stuff. But this year particularly, I'd be talking loud about it. I would, there's a lot of companies that give bonuses and they don't, they like it to be a surprise maybe and things like that. But I'd have a conversation with everybody on staff and somehow or another let them know that there's going to be some extra money for them in December to keep them around, because and to Tom's point, why it's still good to work for us. Not, you might be able to go make more temporarily, but that job's not going to be around in January and February. I mean, you take a look at retail data, and I'm not a retail data expert guy, but I would be willing to bet my mortgage that they die in January and February retail.
Oh yeah, they do. It's well, you got returns going on, so they're a little bit busy, but I used to work retail back when I had a real job, and it's all about the holidays. And
there is one big problem. Oh, sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, finish your point. I thought you were done.
No, that's pretty much it. It's all about getting the holiday sales in before the end of the year, and then you're processing some returns. And by the time you get past January, most retailers, their quarters, their fiscal year ends the end of January. So once you get into February, it's pretty dead.
Yeah.
All right. So this was what I was going to say is a caution. If you're planning on telling your employees anything along the lines of, hey, and that's a seasonal job and this is a permanent job, and that if you're going to use that line, you need to be careful, because the people right now are feeling like the jobs are there. I can get a job anywhere at any point in time, and I am more valuable than anybody. They're not going to hear the message about temporary, not today, not this year. They're not going to hear that message, because they don't have a problem with temporary jobs right now. that's what the Great Recession is all about. I'm happy to change out my jobs. So that doesn't have the pull that it had in the past. Like, we're going to have a full-time permanent job for you, 40 hours a week. It's like, okay, then thank you for letting me know. I think I better switch jobs now. Why wait? Like,
Yeah.
you're going to try and make me work 40 hours every week? What?
Right.
So,
But if you think about a lot of these retail jobs, though, they're not necessarily awesome either in terms of, being accommodating. It's 7 days a week and
yes.
nights. And,
Nights. Yeah.
So now we still have that.
There's somebody in that store at 3:00 in the morning, getting things stocked up and ready to go the next day.
I couldn't imagine working Black Friday. Can you imagine working retail Black Friday? Who on earth? Oh, you.
I love that.
Oh man, that's my worst nightmare, I think.
I loved it. Your day is
really?
like over. Yeah, it was great fun.
I guess that's fast paced, man. I just having that many people come running at me just isn't my cup of tea. Not like that.
I'm going to remember that when you see me running at you in Vegas right during convention, and you're like, "What is going on?" Remember this conversation. I'm getting me and all of my friends, Shawn.
So, like when people are fighting over that last flat screen TV, are you the one in there, Liz, breaking them off? I mean,
no, I never worked anywhere where it was that kind of violent. I worked in clothing retail, and it wasn't as big of a deal as it is now. The deals were not as crazy. It was not like it is today. But it was very fast and very busy, and I did love that. I really did love that.
Yeah. What changes have you seen with your clients or your business, Liz? Just out of curiosity, you seem to have such a low turnover rate in comparison to others in the industry, and that's probably changed. But in comparison to a lot of other companies in the industry, are you doing anything different for your employees? That holds them tight and keeps them in the door.
Well, like everybody else, I really ran through a hard patch. Every one of my employees, except for Mindy, had small children when things hit. Every single one. So I was like, oh, that was a really big struggle. We have since brought back a few of those people. And I would say that the same thing that I've always said, that there are three main things that keep people at their job: that they feel like they matter, that they feel like they themselves matter to the company. It's hard to leave a job where you feel like you really matter. The second job is that there's some type of meaning in the job. They feel good about the work that they do because, there's some sort of meaning out there, meaning in what they do. It's not a coincidence that all of these companies are, Tom's that gives away free shoes, and that all of these companies are jumping on that bandwagon. That's not a coincidence. And then
I don't give away free shoes, Liz.
Yet, Tom.
Maybe I should start. The brand is already there, right?
That's right. It's ready to go.
That's funny.
And then also that measure, right? That they know where they stand and that
those are those fundamental things that I talk about. Yeah. That stuff that will never change. In my lifetime, I don't think. There's just certain, take care of people that are taking care of you. I think that is just a principle and a fundamental principle that just, that's a value that should always be there, regardless of the economy, the labor market, the inflation rate, or any of the other external things. Those are a lot of the things that I've been trying to talk about, is just that mindset. And I give this example. I remember, I was visiting a company of ours, and it happened both on the first day of employment for a new employee and during an interview, which is the first impression that a human being gets is that first interview, right? And so I just wanted to sit back and take a look. And what I saw was this. Susie came in. I see her driving around like crazy, trying to find the place. Remember when we used to say, hey, and people, you'd hear other businesses go, I'm not going to give them our address. I'm going to make them jump through the hoops of finding our place of work. And I sit there and I'm watching this car going like crazy, running around. And so Susie jumps out of the car. There's 3 people smoking cigarettes outside of the building, complaining about Mrs. Jones and being Monday. That's the first thing she sees, smells, and hears. She hasn't even walked through the door yet. She gets through the door. There are 10 employees sitting there with their paperwork and doing things. And every one of them turns around and stares at her like she's got 5 heads. Not one of them acknowledges, says hello, introduces themselves. Nobody does. It was probably close to a minute, which if you could picture yourself in the middle of a room being stared at by 10 human beings, that's a long time to be sitting there. No, finally the manager comes running out like she just got off the Stairmaster, breathing hard, stressed out, papers flying out of her hand, and says, hi, I'm good. Come on, we got to get this stuff over with. That's that, and I'm sitting there with my veins popping out. I'm choking up thinking about it, and we changed it completely. The new vision that we have is somebody goes out. When we know somebody's coming, a guest of ours is coming, whether that's the first time at work because they just got hired or it's an interview, you're to go out there, you're to know their name, you're to introduce yourself with a big smile. Hi, Susie, that you must be Susie. I've been waiting for you for 20 minutes. I couldn't wait. I came in early just to be here for you. I couldn't wait. I couldn't stay home. You go out there, introduce yourself. Anybody that comes near you, you are to introduce with a big smile. Everybody shakes hands. When you walk through the door, you're to say, do you like donuts? Do you want fruit? We've got breakfast.
Here, have a donut. I made these myself just for you.
and a big mug of coffee or juice. Now, what is that? How much did that cost? $1.50, $2? And that is the difference between night and day and the mindset of, this cracks me up. I talk about that employee and that client, right? And Tom had hit the numbers. It's the numbers, right? It's the math. That employee brings you in, 50, 60, 70 grand. That client brings you in maybe 3 or 4 grand a year. And what do? We kiss their butt, right? Think about that. The sales. When we go after a client, think of how excited we get. We're kissing their rear end. It's a $3,000-$4,000 sale, and we're going. And man, we closed that deal. What did we do? Did we make them find our address and jump through hoops? And you're going to have to. What's your favorite color? And do you all these questions we ask employees? When you screen a job candidate properly up front, when you do that properly up front. In my mind, that interview is you got to go like that's your biggest sale. All we do in our interview, literally, is we think of that as a $80,000 or $70,000 sale. We want that human being that walks through, called a job candidate, to show up to an interview and feel like they are Queen Elizabeth coming in, and this is why we need you to work for us. This is what we have to offer you. I'm not asking you to jump through hoops and asking you, can you tell me how you handled stress in your last job, and give me a circumstance where what's your favorite color and all these nonsense things. That's an $80,000 sale. What do you do for a $3,000 sale? You're still making these people jump through hoops if you pre-screen them properly, the hoop jumping's gone. It's time to make a sale. That's the mindset I'm talking about.
So if they answer the favorite color question wrong, are they no longer a candidate?
If it's not green, if it's not blue at blue skies, they're out the door.
Green, I'm sorry, we can't use you. We're done.
Sorry. Yeah, we're not dealing with you anymore. So Audra has a good little idea here too. You can give your new hires a small token gift basket or something like that. Yep, absolutely. There's the idea here is not what you do, just that you do something, that you treat these people like they matter, like they're important to your company, and that you really want them and you really need them. And it is different now. People are expecting to be treated that way when they walk through the door, like they matter. Mm-hmm. And if they're not treated that way now, then you're disrespectful and they're not working for you. They have the upper hand right now.
Right now.
And I don't see it really going back. I know everybody says that it's going to go back, but I don't see it going back, hopefully, to the level it used to be in the past, because hopefully we're going to learn better. Hopefully we are going to learn our lesson, and we are going to be better, and we are going to treat our people better, and we're going to have better people, and they're going to do better.
Well, absolutely. It's a competitive advantage, regardless of where
Absolutely.
the labor market's going to be in the future. I mean, it's going to ebb and flow. But if you want to hire the best people, you need to be the best employer.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to hear people saying, like we have in the past, like, oh, you get a paycheck. What more do you want? I don't think we're going to be hearing a whole heck of a lot more of that. For years, we heard that. And actually, I heard it maybe 6 months ago in a Facebook group. Why are they expecting all of this? What do they expect? I'm paying them. That's what they're getting for their job. They're expecting more nowadays, more than just a paycheck. And that is one way that you were talking about the fundamentals. That is one way that things have sort of changed a little bit. It's always been the bottom level. What's the name of our triangle, Tom?
Maslow.
Yeah, thank you. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I call it ours now, right? But the base level has always been, to have the safety met and money. But nowadays, the problem is we're shooting people right past that. Everybody's already at safety. That's why that money is becoming more of an issue than it ever has been in the past. Not because people are motivated by money necessarily. Same amount of people are motivated by money as have always been motivated by money. But because now the expectation is higher, that's what they need to survive. That's what it feels like that they need to survive. So,
and I think a great part of leadership too, and my favorite leadership guru is John Maxwell, and 5 levels of leadership, and he talks about those 5 levels. And one of the things that we do at Blue Sky is, I don't know if we do it at all of our locations or not, but the location manager, is cooking breakfast every Monday morning for the technicians. And when your boss is cooking you breakfast and we're having that servant's heart and serving their employees and cooking them breakfast and having fun doing it and wanting to make breakfast for your employees, that goes a long way. Our number of employees that showed up on Mondays drastically went through the roof, literally, when we were cooking breakfast on Monday mornings. Just to wake up in the morning and want to come to work because you've created a job that your employees wants and want to come to work, that's huge. That's huge.
Absolutely.
Create that job where somebody wants to wake up in the morning and they want to come to work. That's huge.
The want to is so much more important.
Yeah, when that alarm clock goes off on Monday morning, knowing that you're making so much per hour and you get a paycheck every week isn't really the motivation to get you out of bed.
No.
Right.
And I have a little hint for you, Shawn, to make those breakfasts even more impactful, right? So people love breakfast, but the same as everything else, once it becomes an expectation, it's hard to get around that. So cooking breakfast every Monday morning, here's how you get out of the expectation piece.
Pancakes. Add pancakes. People love pancakes.
Yes, pancakes. Thank you, Tom. All right. No, I'm kidding. All right. Have whoever's cooking breakfast ask the next person on the list, what do they like for breakfast? And that's what we're cooking next week.
That's a great idea.
Because then you add the little matter in there. Yeah. This breakfast is not because of me being great. I'm not cooking breakfast because I'm a great boss. I'm cooking breakfast because Shawn likes omelets. That's why we're having omelets. So if you want to thank someone, thank Shawn.
Yeah.
Shawn is because of Shawn, we're having omelets today. Yeah. So that twist changes.
That's an amazing thing because it's a bit contrary to what entrepreneurs' mindsets typically are, because we're super egotistical, right? And our brains are always thinking about ourselves, our business, our this, our, you know, our checking account, our bank account, our vehicles, our supplies, our equipment, right? It's always us. And so that's hard to step out of. And
it is.
I've done a lot of things over the last couple of years with my mindset and my ego. And if I can keep my mind calm, which is not an easy thing for me to do. And I know it's not an easy thing for you, Liz, because your personality is just wham, 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 right? Yeah. So your mind's just going like this. But when I can actually calm it down and think of other people outside of myself, my gosh, I get creative. I can get really creative, just like you laid out with that brilliant idea of just tinkering with something a little bit when I wasn't thinking about myself and how I was having breakfast and I made breakfast for them. When you think of others and you get out of your mind and start to just focus on others, really cool things start to happen in everybody's life.
Agreed. What's Tom going to pull up here?
Who's
on the
this
screen?
guy here?
Hey,
This thing's recruiting. We are quickly approaching the top of the hour.
Oh, wow.
Wanted to just share with everybody what you do. What you do with your day job, Shawn.
Sure. So basically, we do recruiting. Unlike most other companies, though, we displace your labor. So if you're looking for a full-time recruiting department, that's what we are. We do everything from start to finish. The only thing our client does is interview a highly screened human being and set up an interview and hire, We go through data-driven questions that uncover a lot of really important things that you'll want to have in a human being that comes to work for you. And those that
if you want a robot, don't call Shawn. They don't do that.
No, don't do that. We've got all kinds of really cool questions that we ask that are pretty industry specific questions. A lot of other recruiting companies and platforms and softwares and apps and all that, a lot of them have never owned a cleaning company. We have. I owned one for 20 some years. I'm still a part of them. And we know your pain. We know what you do every single day because we do it too. We're colleagues first, and then like I said, we do a lot of things for free. And I love talking shop. And if you don't, I always say, do a demo with me for about 15 minutes, and at the end of it, steal everything I have and do it yourself. If you want to pay me a few bucks to do it for you, I'll do it. If you want to do it yourself, go ahead. I don't care either way. And somehow or another, we've got hundreds of clients that are paying us to do it for them. So
you have always been very, very, very good about sharing everything.
Absolutely.
You walk the talk, you walk the talk. It's not you're
generous.
Just,
yeah.
Yes. Very generous, very giving.
You'll give away the play, but it's just a matter of if you want to do it yourself.
That's exactly right. Yep.
And I think that's a big part of why you guys are successful. That generosity, it speaks to people.
Thank you.
So thank you, everybody, for being here today. I see that we're going a little bit over time here today, Tom. We only have one more day in our everything holiday or all things holiday month. But then next month is convention month. So that's going to be a busy month as well.
But we will be back Wednesday. That's like 2 days from now, 5 o'clock Eastern, for another episode of Smart Business Moves. Shawn, as always, you make this so much fun. I don't know if Shawn, if you were our guest, if you are always our guest, we'd be doing this 7 days a week, right, Liz?
I'm probably turning red now. Now you're getting carried away. I love you guys. I always have, and I always remember the dinner we had in Vegas. And Tom, you were kind enough to have me in your home and your family, and I always thought very highly of both of you, and just have learned a lot from both of you, and I appreciate our friendship.
Well,
Same here, Shawn.
Thank you so
Right.
much, Shawn. Yep. We love you. We love you more. Trust me.
Yeah. And we will be seeing you in Las Vegas here
We
very,
will.
very soon.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So we're done for today. 5 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday. We'll be back. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.